Number one, stop thinking about the results. When I attempted in my time, when I was of your age, when I attempted the paper, the first practice test I took, it took me 5.5 hours. Children, let me tell you, very important factor. Our problem is not that we have a low score. Our problem is that we keep on repeating the mistakes. All the students, a very warm welcome. This is Shishir Mittal from Vyas Edification, Kota. First of all, a very common question which normally the students tend to ask is, sir, this is the last moment, last 1 week, what should we do? I mean, we are very tense about it. See, first of all, it is very easy for me to say that don't get tense, getting tense doesn't help. But then the unfortunate thing is, nobody wants to get tense. But we do get tense, right? So is there a systematic way that we could actually walk around and we could get rid of this kind of a tension? See, the only way we can usefully engage ourselves is, number one, stop thinking about the results. If you are too much worried about, oh my God, what is there going to be in the exam? Is it going to be a tough paper? What are they going to ask? That is of no avail. That is beyond our capacity. So what we should focus on is, A, if it is a tough paper, it is not specifically designed against me. I am not the only stupid person on earth. World is full of stupid people. I'm just one of maybe, it must be a little funny, but truth is, there's no dearth of stupidity around the world, right? Just look around you. So I'm not the only one, right? So in that case, and that is a very, very comforting thought actually. Why? Why is it comforting? Because all you need to do is, you have to be better than them at least, right? And this is a very funny story. There were two friends and they were actually traveling across jungle, dense jungle. And suddenly they heard a roar of a hungry lion. And they were scared. But then one of them was scared, the other one appeared confident. And the other person asked, why are you so confident? Do you think you can overrun a lion? He said, no, I don't have to overrun the lion. I just have to overrun you. Right? If I'm ahead, lion will eat you. I'll be still safe. So, in the same fashion, when we talk about competitive exam years, what happens is, you just have to be ahead of others. You just have to make less mistakes as compared to others. And this is all that is required. So, all this may sound very superficial. Just 7 days, your exam is going to be there. But still, this is very, very true for a scene like competitive exam. So, A, when I say don't get tense, number one, have this clear-cut realization that there are plenty of, dumbos on earth. And I'm not the only one. So, in that case, I will be performing better than others. A. B, don't go in with an attitude that I have to finish 100% in case your preparation is not 100%. Can I not get 100% marks in NEET exam? Of course you can. But then that is possible only when you are scoring consistently above 90% exam score in the practice tests. And consistently means at least 10, 15, 20 practice tests and you're consistently getting more than 90% marks. Then we are talking about around 100% score. But that is exceedingly rare, very, very rare. So, for normal mortals, usually what happens is, scoring could be, somewhere around 500, 600, sometimes 400, 300, 200, whatever might be the score. Sometimes maybe crossing 700 is phenomenal. But then, as I said, it's a rarity. So, if in case, say for example, your score is 350. I'm not taking a very big score, I'm not taking a very small score. Somewhere. Now, you may say 350 is a bad score, I want more. Yeah, of course you want more. But by taking tensions, by getting very tense about it, do you think you can score better? No, you can't. You just can't. So what do we do? Well, what we can do is, A, we can revise better. Only 7 days left, I'll tell you some tricks how to revise. And B, if you are talking about, getting tense or getting, very, very, worked up about this, thinking about results is never an option. When you are writing the exam, don't ever think, what will mommy say, what will daddy say, what will friends say, or what is it that I'm going to tell teachers? No. Take an example from Team India. In Team India, if you have watched them playing, such a tremendous pressure, so many spectators live, they're cheering, they're shouting, they're booing and they're screaming. and then you have your opponents also, the opponent team is there. You know that you are being broadcasted live across the world. So many people are watching you, and that is such a tremendous pressure. And what happens at the end? At the end, when the captain cool comes and says, the boys are enjoying cricket. Oh, come on, it was such a nail-biting match. We wanted you to win. What is this enjoyment business? But actually, that is the key. Just enjoy your exam. What do you mean that? Of course, I mean just enjoy your NEET exam. Oh, that's a very neat advice, but how can we? It is just in your head. It is just a psychology. It's not just empty talk. If you just focus on, this is my work, I'm going to do this to the best of my ability by, intellectually you understand that simply by fretting over a fact, you can't make it better. But then if you're tense about it, see, in every competitive exam, and that is a special gist of NEET. See, as a doctor, if a patient comes to you and you are suddenly tense, okay, oh my God, a patient is dying, what should I do? And you start crying. Doctors don't cry when patients are sick, right? So that would, make you look very vulnerable, weak, and it won't make you a good doctor. In the same fashion, when you're writing a competitive exam, you can't be vulnerable. You have to be mentally tough. And that mental toughness, how to practically achieve it? Number one, don't look at results, just look at what you're supposed to do. Look at only whatever is in your own control. Just do not bother about anything else. That's very, 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 very important. And secondly, during exams, after all this gyan, if you feel that you're getting tense, just watch your breath. It's a very short technique. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. 30 seconds. I'm not wasting your time. But then just watch your breath. Simply by watching and controlling your breath, the tension begins to dissolve. The nervousness begins to dissolve, and when you're nervous, you tend to forget many things. You tend to make silly mistakes more. So, say when you walk in your examination center, when you are sitting in the front of the system where you are supposed to take an exam, normally there's a 15 minutes gap. In that 15 minutes gap, you're supposed to do 3 or 4 things. Number one, clearly, read the instructions for the exam. That is very necessary. Read every bit of it very carefully. Although it may be very familiar, although it may be repetitive, although there may be nothing new in it, just read it. It will just take you maybe a minute or so. And then you would be getting some rough sheets. On those rough paper sheets, what should you do? Just divide them into certain portions and write down question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least for the physics and physical chemistry part. And preferably do it for organic and inorganic also, at least for physics and chemistry. Just, on a rough paper, like I'll just show you. Say, for example, if I have a sheet of paper like this, what do? I just fold it like this once, and then I could fold it maybe 3, 4 more times. So as you can see, I have divided the paper into around 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this looks like a wastage of paper to you, you could divide this into 8 parts. So 8, this is the space for rough work. And why am I allotting this space for rough work? I am doing this so that whenever you are writing down any numerical problems, whenever you are writing down any numerical questions, any mechanism based question, writing tends to minimize silly mistakes. 7 days are remaining. You should utilize these days in perfecting this practice. What would you do? How much you have to practice? I'll talk about that also. But first thing what you're supposed to do is divide this, write down question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and make sure that whenever you're supposed to do rough work should be done only in a particular section very, very neatly. Don't worry about handwriting. Make sure you make it neat. Why? You might have to revise it, number 1, and number 2, the numerical mistakes, the calculation mistakes are mostly made when the paper is solved in a dirty and unsystematic fashion. Many a times students believe that they're being more efficient by being dirty, being quick, by writing shortcuts. No, if you get a -1 instead of +3 or +4, I think it is still a very, very bad bargain. So, what you do? designate a clear-cut space for rough work and do your rough work very, very neatly. And why I'm saying put question number 1, 2, 3, 4, so that in case you have time for revision. What? Yes, in case you have time for revision and you will have to find out some time for revision, I would expect you to at least revise those questions which involve numerical calculations so as to make sure that you correct any silly mistake. If you implement only this technique, and do nothing else of what I'm saying, still, my dears, trust me, you will be saving at least 4 to 7 questions in your actual NEET paper, which is just going to be there within a week or 10 days. Minimum 4 additional answers you will get correct, minimum, because those silly mistakes can be easily eliminated by this care. First precaution. Second, most important, very, very important. Students tend to make, and listen to this with great, great care, my dears. What I'm going to tell you now is very, very simple, but very crucial and a very practical tip for avoiding silly mistakes. You know, what is the data of students who make silly mistakes in questions when it is said, which of the following is not true? Which of the following is not true? Usually that not word is remembered while reading option A, sometimes till B, and by the time you reach option C or D, say if D was the one which is not true and C is true, by the time you have reached C, you forget the instruction that you have to choose not true. And then what happens? You choose something which is true, and although you knew the entire question, A and B you solved correctly, they were true, you did not mark them, but C also is true, but you forgot. You mark C and you don't mark D and you get it wrong. You get it wrong, and at this, just realize, if you analyze your papers where you're going wrong, this is a very, very frequent problem. How to get rid of this? Same paper. The moment you see which of the following is not true, first of all, make a danger sign, not, write down not in the rough paper, not. So the moment you see the danger sign not, and whenever you write down, say you got C as the answer. When you mark C as the answer and when you look at your rough sheet and you see the word not, you please go back once and check. Is it true or is it false? And usually what happens is the moment not is there, you write down the word not, A, B, C, D, and in A, B, C, D, don't mark the answer. Just write TF, true, false, true, false. If you have written the word not here, blindly in A, B, C, D, just decide true, false, TF, whatever, TF. And then not tha, so F has to be correct, then you mark F as the answer. You just add this one step. This will not take you more than 2-3 extra seconds, not more than that, maximum 2 or 3 seconds. But it will save you from at least 3 to 4 silly mistakes in every NEET exam. Every NEET exam. Any rehearsal exam you take, because such a question will be there in physics also, in chemistry also, in botany also, in zoology also, and somewhere or the other you will be trapped. Maybe if there are 15 such questions, you might not make an error in 10 or 12. 2-3 questions gone unnecessarily. Ranks lowered unnecessarily. Your score is lowered unnecessarily. Although you knew everything, you studied everything. It is a stupid, silly mistake at the end. That is something which you can conveniently avoid if you do this. Right? Now, this is as far as 2 or 3 tips were there when you are writing your exam, what you should be very careful about. Indeed, no doubt. How do you revise in the last 7 days? My dears, you have to take full-scale rehearsal tests. The best rehearsal tests which you can take at this moment are old NEET papers. But beware, last 2-3 years, like after 2019, NEET has taken a very abrupt turn, and their pattern is totally different from what they used to ask till CPMT was there. Earlier there used to be an exam called CPMT exam. That is centralized PMT or whatever. That paper level was totally different. Organic chemistry, all mechanism based questions only. These days, like last 3-4 years, the trend is totally now NCERT based as far as NEET exam is concerned. So since the pattern has changed drastically, there is no great benefit in doing ancient papers. The benefit is just doing what immediately has been in the past, and I think that is something which you would find very useful. Do that, and trust me, writing a 3-hour paper, how should you, what are the tips? See, it's a 3-hour paper, yeah. And we understand that most of the students tend to compress zoology and botany so that they are quickly able to write that, and they devote extra time to physics and physical chemistry. Yes. Even with all that, please, 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 if you can do this, try finishing the paper 30 minutes earlier. What nonsense, 30 minutes earlier, how can you finish NEET paper? You can do this, you can do this, I know this. If mentally you have decided you will do it, you would be able to do that. And in that duration, please, last 30 minutes which remain with you, and when you're taking a practice exam, okay, you may not be able to finish quickly, but in your mind, divide your time in such a way that you are able to compress and finish within 2.5 hours. Last 30 minutes on this paper, this is a magic sheet, my dear. On this paper, just make stars. What stars? Stars about the questions where you are confused. You know, someday might be B, might be C. I am confused between B and C. If I have time, I'll think about it. But for the timing, I'll pick B. So, there would be a few questions where you have no clarity. See, there are some questions you are very clear, I don't know this. Say, for example, somebody asks you, give me the structure of Bombicol. Now, you don't know the structure of Bombicol. God damn it. Just leave it. You are never coming back to it. On the other hand, if somebody asks you, what is the color of potassium dichromate? You say it is orange. You know this for sure. There is no doubt about it. Again, do it and leave it. Sure shot, yes. Don't come back. Sure shot, no. Don't come back. But, you know, kabhi ha, kabhi na. You know, we are not very clear about what exactly is the... I mean, we are sure that maybe out of 4, 2 options are surely not there. But I am confused between 2 options. So, mark them by a star or by a doubt or something, that for the time being I am writing maybe B as the answer or C as the answer, but if I have extra time, I will come back and revisit this. Now, when you try out this strategy, see, last 7 days are meant for improvement in strategy, not the improvement in concepts. Concepts you have already been studying for so long. So now you are supposed to focus on strategy of writing the exam. So morning, get up, 3 hours, write the exam. And please, my dears, don't quit attempting the exam after 3 hours. What do you mean? See, initially, when you write down your next exam, maybe tomorrow morning, practice exam, any exam, if you have NEET paper, fine. If you have any practice paper, that also is fine. Just write it. And when you write that paper, you will find that you might not be able to finish this even in 3 hours. Say you are taking 4 hours. Continue writing it for 4 hours. After 3 hours, write an answer key, then change the color. Maybe change it to red. Continue with the paper, finish the paper. And then revise as I have recommended. When I attempted, in my time, when I was of your age, when I attempted the paper, the first practice test I took, it took me 5.5 hours. And after 5.5 hours, I was fed up, so I just threw it. Now, you have 3 scores. 1 score, within 3 hours, whatever is your score, you check that, calculate that score. Maybe if you extended by 1 hour more, if you had more time, if you have an extra hour, then this is going to be your score. And after you revised and try to remove your silly mistake, again now you check your score. Get those 3 scores. The difference, and surely there is going to be at least a difference of 30 to 50 marks. 30 to 50 marks difference. That, and 50 extra marks is like beautiful, right? If you've got 550 marks, 50 more will give you 600 marks, which is rich, which is beautiful, great. Now, once you do this, what is the next fight about? This is only attempting the paper. Now what you should do is, whatever portion you forgot, whatever portion you think was weak, open your notes, open your references, read from that portion. Say, for example, if there is a question based on adiabatic process and you forgot adiabatic process formula, just open your notes and read about adiabatic process. It might take 5 minutes, but at least you have to refresh what is the information about adiabatic process, right? In the same fashion, if you are revising all the weak concepts where you made the error, if you are writing a 3-hour paper, you will need at least 3 to 5 hours for overcoming the errors from that paper. Children, let me tell you, very important factor. Our problem is not that we have a low score. Our problem is that we keep on repeating the mistakes. So if you make mistakes, it's okay. But if you don't repeat them, if you just rectify those mistakes, that would help you in the next paper. And back to back, my dears, if you're able to take at least one paper a day and preferably two papers, later on, when your efficiency is improving, you can compress the time and you could actually take 2 papers. So average may come out to be maybe at least 1.5 paper per day. If you can do that, you will find that this last 1 week exercise is going to give you an extra edge of at least 30 to 50 marks in your NEET exam. This strategy alone can add significant marks to, I'm talking about exam strategy, I'm not talking about doing extra concepts, gaining extra knowledge, rectifying more data, no. Time for that is done, it's gone. We can do a bit of it, I'm not saying we can't. But the thing is, you will gain a lot more by focusing now in the last 7 days on strategy rather than focusing on, what I say is this random, maybe mugging up a few more equations or mugging up a few more formula definitions. No. Mug them if you want. If you're very desperate, do it. But then don't leave this job. If you do this, I have a great belief that you can get great benefit from this, right? So this is my advice to you when NEET exam is just impending around the corner and you have a week left for it.